Malky, you've named a squad that looks to have the nucleus of previous squads, but you've freshened that up with new players as well. Talk us through it.
Yeah, as you see, that there is a strength of the squad that is there already, but I decided that for the friendly up in Aberdeen against Holland, to bring in some fresh faces, some guys that have been doing well, both in Scottish football and in English football, and give them their chance and their opportunity. We have got a longer build-up to Euro 2020, and there is going to be 2 or 3 friendlies in the lead-up to that, and it gives people the opportunity to grab their chance. I remember back in the day in my own career, I managed to get 3 or 4 friendlies before I played a full qualifier, and it certainly helped. It makes people bed in quicker, and I think that this gives some of them a chance to actually stake their claim going forward for the next 2 years. Before
looking at some of the new players, 2 players in particular, Scott Brown and Darren Fletcher, there was a lot of talk of whether they would retire from international duty.
Sure.
How pleased are you to have them, and what is the long-term future for them?
Well, I've spoken to both of them at length this week. Darren, I actually played with a long time ago in both our first debut for the country. But my conversations with Darren and Scott have been very productive over the last couple of days, and both have come into the squad. Longer term, that's their decision what they want to do. But they're going to be imperative for myself when we meet up on Sunday to have good conversations with both of them over the 4 or 5 day spell, I think.
So just to clarify, they're in for this one game, and thereafter it's up in the air.
No, they're in for the squad after that. If whatever happens after that. At the moment, both of them have made themselves available, and that's the key thing for me. As I said, I've spoken to both of them concerning where they're at the moment, how they're feeling. And both decided that they wanted to be available to be picked. So I'm delighted with that. They're 2 terrific professionals, 2 quality players, and 2 guys that can really help some of the younger ones around them. And I think that's key as well.
8 uncapped players, 3 I think that are new to the Scotland squad in terms of Paul Hanlon, Jason Cummings, Ryan Christie. What was it about them and the way they're playing that made you decide to call them up?
I think it's about, let's take them then. Paul Hanlon's captaining Hibs, who are going from strength to strength. I went to the Edinburgh Derby the other night, and Hibs were terrific, and Hanlon was so calm at the back. He's someone that's been in the youth setup before, at the Scotland youth setup, but has taken his time to, I suppose, fill out, to understand the position, to learn to have that I suppose, leadership quality, but I'm seeing all that at the moment, as are a few people that I've spoken to. So he absolutely deserves to come into this squad. I think you look at him and you look at hard work and you look at progression, and I think that's something I see there. Ryan Christie has been sensational this season for Aberdeen. I've spoken to Derek McInnes this week on it, and he's been glowing about Ryan. I think you only need to see the goal on Saturday to realise the quality that he has. Now's the time to step up to the next stage. He's obviously on loan from Celtic at the moment, and he's been doing very well for Aberdeen, so I don't see why he shouldn't be given an opportunity, especially it's at Pittodrie as well, his home stadium. That's going to certainly help as well. So that's as far as he's concerned.
Jason
Cummings has been someone who obviously has had a career at Hibs, and in the big games manages to step up to the plate. I think the next stage of his career was moving away from his home club, moving down to England, playing against big strong players, playing against players who are going to give him different challenges every week, and becoming a professional who can handle playing 90 minutes twice and 3 times a week. He's under Mark Warburton. I spoke to Mark last night, and our goalkeeping coach Jim Stewart's at the club as well. So they've monitored, or they've allowed me to monitor Jason regularly over the last couple of months. And in him, I see a young version of Lee Griffiths. I see someone with pace. I see someone that's finishing ability is second to none, and it's maybe time for him to start becoming the player that the people thought had great potential. Once again, I think it'll do him good to be in and around some experienced players, and be given the chance to come up and stake his claim for the next few years going forward.
Malky, you've taken this game on. Are you interested in being the permanent manager of Scotland beyond this?
I was asked after the board meeting that where the decision was taken. I was asked to by the board to come in and be the interim manager going forward at the moment, which I'm very proud to do. But I have quite an important job in my hands at the moment. I'm in charge of 7 teams at the moment, and I was in 8 different countries last month. So I've got an awful lot on my plate right now. This is an immense honour, and right now I'm looking forward to actually this next couple of weeks and being focused on that as far as it's concerned. And after that, we'll wait and see where that goes.
Longer term, is it even feasible for the 2 roles to be combined, or are they quite clearly, one person for one job, one person for the other?
No, they're defined different roles. As I said, I think over the last 10 months, I've been into this job. I'm getting my teeth into it now, and as I said, there is 7 international teams, and there's involving coaching as well, and it's involving trying to, I suppose, make our youngsters get to a point where we're regularly competing in tournaments, and we're regularly finding a pathway, because that's really the important thing. And it touches on the new players coming in here. It's a pathway so that there's a joined up thinking between all the youth teams going straight in at the first team, and going forward there's certainly going to be that as far as we're concerned, in terms of the support staff and also the youngsters coming through. I mean, interestingly enough, I could have actually picked there's at least 3 or 4 of the under 21s that would have made this squad on current form. But I'm not going to do that. It's not something that I think going forward is something we should do. Years gone by, there's plenty of countries and nations that have gone on to win European Championships with nearly an under 23 team, because as long as you start at under 21, you can finish at 23. Teams like Italy have got half their team playing in Serie A. We don't, and invariably, we're criticised that our 21s don't get there. But if you look halfway through campaigns, 2 or 3 of the players are taken out, 2 or 3 of the best players are taken out and sat on the bench for Scotland. Now that progression should happen, but it's about when it happens, and that's where the communication level is about a pathway where we think the best chance for Scott Gemmell next week in 2 qualifiers is to put his best team out there, not for me to take 2 or 3 who could quite easily make this squad and bring them in. It's when they're going to make the jump over, and that's important going forward.
You said in your previous answer, we'll see what happens. You're a coach and a manager at heart, I guess. So you're not ruling yourself out of the running for the permanent job? No,
listen, every manager that is Scottish and would be proud to be the manager of the national team, and right now I am that person. I've played for my nation, and I will be managing my nation in 2 weeks' time, and to be able to do that is something that I'll be eternally grateful for and humbled for. But right now it's about focusing just in the next couple of weeks. Who wouldn't want to do that? But the timing is a big thing, and I'm 10 months into a job that I'm incredibly proud to be doing, and a job that's fundamentally I think is very, very important going forward in Scottish football, about guiding this pathway for our youngsters and driving that and making sure that there's a close connection with our football clubs. So I've got a job to do at the moment, and in the next 2 weeks I've got this one as well.
Just going back to this, your squad, you've got 7 Celtic players in there as expected. Have you had a conversation with Brendan Rodgers? He's been very vocal about how tired his players are, and that some of them do need a rest with the games they're playing.
I think he was very tired when we spoke. He got in at 4 o'clock in the morning from Munich, and I was at his door at 10 in the morning. So, but he was good enough to make me a cup of tea. We sat for 3 or 4 hours discussing a lot of things, and his players were one of those things. So yes, I've managed to get a long, in-depth conversation with him concerning his thoughts on his players, and generally on where he sees Scottish football in the last 18 months. But I have also with Derek McInnes, Pedro Caixinha, Craig Levein and Neil Lennon, to name 3 or 4, in the past few months. I think, touching back on the job that I'm doing at the moment, the performance director, it's something that I think we ask as many good people as possible, their thoughts and their ideas going forward, because we need to make things better in general. We all know that, and it's why I have delved into trying to have conversations with 4 or 5 ex-Scotland managers as well in the last 8 or 9 months. So I've spoken to Sir Alex, Walter Smith, Craig Levein, Alex McLeish, in the past, Andy Roxburgh, Craig Brown, all in the past 10 months, to actually just get their gleam their ideas and their experience, and you know, where we can take this going forward.
So is it a case with these players, you want them there because you're looking to build the squad around what's already there, but managing their input over that week?
Very much so. I think it's about making sure that there is a strength and a core to the team. Let's make no mistake that I might say friendly at the top of the page, but footballers don't go out and play that, and I'm certainly not going to do that. We're playing against a tough team in Holland who haven't qualified, who will be licking their wounds. Dick Advocat, who will be coming back to a country that he knows very well, and he'll be wanting to put on a show. So we've got a tough game ahead of us, and it is a chance for players to make their mark. Now, we have got that longer lead into the Euro 2020 qualifiers, which we absolutely want to make sure that we qualify for, where there's games going to be at Hampden. So we've got to make sure that that we're there, and to give us the best chance of that means that a group have to now come together and play together regularly over the next 9 months before we go into that September qualifier. So I think it gives people the chance to state their claim. It also gives players that are you know, fundamentally part of the group to become leaders, to step up and become leaders now.
Malky, just come back to the manager's job on a long-term basis. As performance director, people might expect you to be involved in that process of recruitment. Are you involved? Have you been asked if you want to be involved?
That'll be a board decision. There's a subcommittee that will be put together that will actually lead on that. I think at some point then you know, I might be asked in to actually have my thoughts on maybe the criteria attached to what the manager's job should be, but that's a board decision that will be taken.
Just sorry, briefly, just to finish off, obviously I know the game's not taking place here, Malky, but there's been a bit of chat about the future of Hampden, so on, and Murrayfield being mooted as a potential replacement, or, you know, taking games round there. What's your own view on, you know, the issue effectively, whether Hampden has kind of seen its best days or otherwise? Again,
I suppose it's that's decisions that are taken above my level in terms of where that will go when the lease runs out and what will actually happen. Personally, I think we only need to look back at the last couple of months and we see the Scottish Cup final, the Celtic Aberdeen game, where it was a sensational end to it and it was a fabulous occasion. I think a month later, I think there'll be few Scots that will ever forget what they saw in the last 10 minutes against England. And when you hear English commentators and the English centre forward talk about the emotion and the atmosphere in this stadium, you know, I think it's a fabulous stadium when you actually get it rocking. I think against Slovakia it was rocking again. It's had so many memories, and I think for us to have a neutral stadium in this country, a neutral football stadium in this country, with this much atmosphere and tradition as Hampden, then I'd certainly like to see Scotland run out here for many years to come.